I'm standing in front of the timeline which, if you're watching this video report at our gathering, is set up in the Bethel Church foyer. It's a timeline of some significant MCM events, including when each of our current churches joined our community of congregations. We're inviting folks at gathering to take a sticky note and add to the timeline important events in your congregation, perhaps, or even when you yourself joined your church or were baptized. It's instructive to look over this timeline. For example, some people think the blue hymnal has always been the hymnal for us. Nope, here it is, 1992. And the red hymnal before it? Nope, 1969. Our new purple hymnal is right in line with that pattern, here in 2020. Maybe the Confession of Faith in a Mennonite perspective. Nope, that was brand spanking new in 1995. And though we don't have this on the timeline, that confession replaced a previous confession of faith for the Mennonite General Conference in 1963, which in turn had replaced one from 1921. We tend to think of each of these things as always having been there, or at least as something obvious and uncontroversial. But each of these things was a new thing at one time, doing something that hadn't been done before or that had been done differently before. And each of these things involved some risk, in some cases some controversy, and in every instance, much faith. These were some of the new things that God did among us in the past. What new things does God want to do among us now and in the future? The MCM board has tried to capture some of an answer to that in the proposed new vision and mission statement for MCM, which we are reflecting on and processing together at our gathering. That new vision and mission statement comes after a 2-year process of listening to what God is doing among us and in our congregations. But a vision and mission statement can't capture everything new that God is doing among us and that God still wants to do among us. God is prompting many of us as congregations to connect into our neighborhoods in fresh ways, serving our neighbors, loving our neighbors as ourselves. God is stirring among our youth and young adults, drawing them together in retreats and in other ways here in Manitoba and across Canada. God is prodding many of our congregations to step into reconciliation with Indigenous peoples in new ways, exploring reparations and land-back possibilities. God is calling a new cohort of pastors among us, a younger cohort from diverse backgrounds and experiences, broadening the pastoral gifts across our community of congregations. God is inspiring more congregations to engage in creation care and climate action in various ways, especially as we see firsthand the effects of climate change here in Manitoba. God is sparking renovation and renewal at Camp Assiniboia and Camp Koinonia as our Light the Fire Capital campaign begins to bear fruit in projects on the ground. God is poking us to rethink what our Mennoniteness means, expanding the possibilities to include a broader spectrum of cultures. And God is drawing congregations into a deeper experience of God, renewing our worship, our faith formation, our theological focus centered on Jesus. God is doing all this and more among us, in each of our congregations, in us as a community of congregations, and across Canada as a nationwide church. What new things is God doing among you, in your congregation, in your own life? I hope you enjoy the rest of the video reports which follow. All this work we do as staff is your work. It's an extension of your ministries as congregations, supporting your ministries and expanding them to Manitoba, across Canada, and around the world. May we together step into God's next new thing. Now let's see. 2013, when I joined Morden Mennonite Church.
You are the way, you are the truth, you are the light, you are the silence and leading. Show us your way, light up the truth, lead us like the silence you will always see. Jesus the way.
While in past years, I felt the need to spice up my gathering report with humor and gaiety, what the Leadership Ministries of MCM has up for this year is so exciting that I decided I could give it to you straight up. That's right, folks. We're going no joke zone for this year's report. I'll start at the nationwide level. As Director of Leadership Ministries, I work alongside the Conference Leadership Ministers of MC Canada, or CLM, as a rep for MCM. This year, the CLM will be working on a variety of projects. Key among these will be updates to our two primary leadership policies, guiding ministerial leadership in the Mennonite Church and a shared understanding of ministerial leadership. We want these resources to better reflect the current realities in which pastoral ministry is practiced across our denomination. See what I mean? Exciting stuff. Thinking about the work I do with the congregations of MCM, one goal I have for the next year is to build stronger connections between my office and the congregational committees responsible for tending to the relationship between pastors and the congregations they serve. Whether your congregation has a personnel committee, a pastor congregations relations committee, a leadership council, or just some random congregational member who pays attention to the needs of the pastoral staff, I want to connect with you. Keep a lookout for opportunities to connect with both myself and others holding similar responsibilities in MCM congregations over the next year. Rather than waiting for a crisis to happen, being intentional about building a strong relationship between my office and the leadership councils of MCM will allow us to support our pastors and the congregations they serve in good, life-giving ways. I also want to lean into the new and fresh makeup of our group of pastors. Roughly half of the people on the pastoral mailing list for MCM are now women or gender-diverse individuals. Considering where we were only a few years ago, this shift is pretty striking. We are also becoming younger and younger. My beard may have substantial amounts of gray in it, but I consider myself young in spirit. So it continues to be shocking to me that I am now one of the older people at our pastor gatherings, and it's not even that close. With these shifts come new energy, hopes, struggles, and gifts that I want to support. There's so much more I could say, but I've been given a hard time limit on this thing, and I've reached it. So let me leave it at this. This is an exciting time for the leadership ministries of MCM. I love the work I get to do here. No jokes necessary.
Show us your way. Jesus the way.
Here we are at the Vietnamese Mennonite Church. How many of you have visited this building on Alexander? Did you know that Pastor Wah was sponsored by Low Farm Mennonite Church as a refugee in 1979? So many of our congregations have already had worship exchanges with our Vietnamese siblings. In fact, this summer, they plan to go fishing on the shores of Matheson Island and get to know that community. The February issue of Canadian Mennonite features 3 of our Vietnamese members, Anna, Ha, and Pastor Wah. When creating an intercultural church vision, Anna knows the church can easily get used to one way of doing things. She encourages an openness and flexibility to new ideas while holding on to core theological truths. Enthusiasm and curiosity are good signs that spiritual life is taking root and flourishing. At the Pastor's Round Table, Ha names the experience of combined worship. They offer friendship with a willing heart and encourage us. You are the best at what you are doing right now.
It's very important for our church, especially newcomer, new people, new believer, because they see that not just we together, but other nations, other people, other sister and brother from all over the world different languages nation, we come together, we worship Jesus, and they are encouraged and they get more strength in their faith. That's very blessing to our community, to our church.
African Inter-Mennonite Mission Coordinator of Church and Donor Relations, Pamela Obande, member of Charleswood Mennonite Church, asks, what barriers are we willing to dismantle when it comes to intercultural church? She notices the open doors of our communities to newcomers and is enthusiastic about this vision.
And so how can we use this ethnicity to weave a very beautiful fabric, a fabric that will bring glory and honor to God, a fabric that is welcoming, a fabric that is accepting, realizing that Canada has opened its boundaries and there are very many more newcomers coming in. So as the Mennonite Church, how are we ready to welcome this rainbow of new people?
Let us continue to envision this work, this intercultural work, as we connect to our global partners in Ethiopia, Thailand, Myanmar, China, and South Korea, who faithfully serve their communities. Some of these churches experience terrible violence and restriction in their ability to worship freely. Wendy Kraker and Gord Zerbi are currently on assignment in Indonesia, teaching and learning from this community. Jeanette Hansen is currently visiting Thailand, and we are excited to hear more about Asher Farms growing soybeans for animal feed when she returns. Activate organized a host of inspiring speakers for our young adults this year. In February, we heard Steve Schallert of South Africa witness to the radical love of neighbor. When we follow in the way of the Beatitudes, there is a cost to loving the unlovable, especially when challenging systems that exclude. We are grateful for the leadership of Kim Arpan-Risi of Little Flowers Community and her mentorship of our young people. We will be welcoming a new cohort starting again in September. Let's hear a bit from our participants.
Hi there, my name is Sunny, and I'm one of the participants of the Activate program this year. And one of the most rewarding part about Activate for me would be how the program led me in reconciling my faith and the academic knowledge that I learned in university. And personally speaking, I guess it challenged me the program challenged me to kind of reimagine and kind of reorient how I think about my beliefs. And we explored a very wide range of peace and justice topics in the program, especially through a relational lens. And I think I have learned to view my community and the world that I am in very differently. And yeah, ultimately, the program has led me to reflect on what it means to follow Jesus in today's society.
Hi, my name's Elizabeth, and I'm part of the Activate program this year. There have definitely been quite a few different parts about Activate that have been really rewarding for me. Getting to hear so many different perspectives, whether they're coming from speakers, other participants, also people we've got to meet along the way through this program, it's really helped me to expand my view of the world as well as help me learn more about myself and my own faith journey. It's been really fulfilling getting to have such a supportive community with the other participants, both to learn together, learning from each other. It's been really great getting to build those connections. Definitely the most rewarding part, though, has been getting to see my own personal growth that has happened due to this program. I've learned so much just about myself and how my faith can play a role in peace and justice in the world.
MCM congregations are taking action together, raising money and collaborating on things that are important to all of us. Just last week, Sargent Avenue hosted an art show and raised money to support Main Street Project. Next week, March 10, Charleswood hosts an education event called Dismantling Residential School Denialism with Nagon Sinclair and Sean Carlton. On April 10, Sterling and Fort Garry host an annual Cross Lake fundraiser with singer Don Almero, anticipating another week of summer activities up north. April 11, our Climate Action Working Group will be hearing stories from Cross Lake about the impact of forest fires this last summer. May 2nd, the Truth and Action Working Group is planning a combined resource day for groups in Altona, Winkler, Morden, Carmen, and Morris. May 23, First Mennonite will be hosting a catered African-themed buffet in support of African Inter-Mennonite Mission, where John Fumana from Congo will speak. Coming this fall, I look forward to facilitating an 8-month intensive called Hearts Exchanged, a program put together by Adrian Jacobs and the Christian Reformed Church. If you want to learn Indigenous stories across Canada and commit to the long-term work of reconciliation, this is the place to start. Carmen Lansdowne, Indigenous author and theologian, names that the mission of God must be grounded in right action towards the earth and towards each other. In order to participate in this right action, we must become aware of the structures that continue to oppress and our complicity within them. Let's continue envisioning a new pathway forward as we seek to live in right relationship together.
Show us your way. Jesus the way.
It's not as cold as I thought it would be out here. Maybe I'll see an owl. There are sometimes a few out here. Which way should I go? Maybe just the close loop. Check out the site. It's already so close to summer. Ah, the archery range. So many campers are going to come through here. We're ahead of registrations again this year. A few weeks already full. Day camp, junior intermediate, youth week, wow. If only we could find enough leadership. I wonder what makes that commitment so difficult. Is it pay? But we have been increasing the amount each year. And last year we received a significant amount of grant money. Is it employable skills? Shouldn't be. I could argue in favor of so many important skills you learn on leadership at camp. Conflict resolution, crisis management, teamwork, the list is so long. At least there are a lot of staff interested in ropes training. It's such a great thing to have this newer ropes course for campers to enjoy. It's so easy to think of all the changes that could be made in this job. What needs fixing or tweaking, keeping up with the times. It's reassuring that some things just get to stay the same. The feeling of fear as you climb up the zip line, and then the relief and wonder and awe when you are flying through the trees. I love those consistent feelings and experiences that camp offers. I'm glad these things can stay the same. I can't wait until I pull up here in summer and see campers running around or eating snack or sitting in their reflect groups. Camp is beautiful in winter, but something about summer cannot be beat. Oh, it's Dave. Let's see what he's up to.
Hi, Nadia. Nice to see you, especially out here at Camp Assiniboia on a beautiful winter day. I hope the skiing went well. Oh, she's gone. I guess we'll catch up with her a bit later. In the meantime, you wouldn't believe all the stuff that's been happening here recently. These past months have been rather eventful. We have 2 great new buildings at Camp Assiniboia, thanks to a generous friend of the camp. And people have been coming and going. And by that I mean longtime staff. Dorothy Fontaine and Ed Dirksen both retired within a month of each other. I have to admit that was a bit of a shock to the system, but God is good. Shortly after they both retired, we were able to appoint Peter Entz as our new facility manager. And soon after that, we named Jody Gottwald as our incoming director of camping. She starts in the middle of March. That puts me out of a job, but I'm pretty happy about it. I wasn't really planning to do this very long. New people always bring new perspectives and possibilities for what Camps with Meaning offers to our churches and communities, and that's a good thing. And then, while all this staff turnover has been happening, we continue to move forward with the Light the Fire Capital campaign to forge a sustainable future for our shared camping ministry. We've already completed the different components of Phase 1. Here they are. And now we're ready and eager to move ahead with Phase 2, the center of which is a lodge expansion and renovation. We've been busy gathering wisdom from people who know how a lodge renovation works and what we all need to do and consider. We expect to have accurate cost estimates in place in just a few months, and then hopefully we'll be able to launch Phase 2 in late fall this year. But we still have a few hurdles to clear. I know very well that we'll have a few challenging decisions to make about what we can actually include in Phase 2. Our dreams are always bigger, it seems, than our actual capacity. And we're still busy encouraging and inviting folks to generously share their love for camp through their financial gifts. Financial pledges that will help us predict support going forward are an integral part of this. And speaking of raising money, in just a little more than a month on April 19th, we're inviting everyone to our annual Light the Fire fundraising event. We've invited funny man Matt Falk to provide entertainment, and we'll have great snacks served by Sorrento's Kitchen, and we'll have a party connecting with old friends and new. It all happens at Caboto Center on Wilkes Avenue, Sunday, April 19th at 7 p.m. Reserve your free tickets today. I hope to see you there.
Oh, hey, it's so good to see all of you. I was just thinking about summer camp as I was skiing outside and trying to think of what kind of updates I could give. What new is happening this season at camp? And I realized there's not actually that much newness at camp, although there's always newness at camp. The one program that is new is our junior high day camp option, which will allow older kids who maybe don't want to stay overnight or can't stay overnight still enjoy the experience of camp. In terms of numbers, we're ahead in camper registrations and have been for the past few years. That's positive. In staff, we have lots of young staff that are interested in camp. That's awesome. Leadership is always a little bit short, so if you know any young folks who would be well suited to those roles, that would be awesome. You should tap them on the shoulder and let them know about camp. Otherwise, I'm kind of viewing this year as a bit of a rest year. Not that there's ever really rest at camp, but instead a space where we can ask, what are the good things that have always happened at camp that continue to happen at camp? Faith formation and faith story sharing, outdoor camping skills, songwriting, trying new activities, and our Bible curriculum. This year, our Bible curriculum is going to be written by Terrell and Jana Wiebe on the theme, People of the Project, Everyday Faith. And kids and adults with disabilities will have a chance to explore examples of faith, both past and present. As always, we are so grateful for your support in whatever way you give it. We cannot run camp without this wider community. If you want to be a part of camp this summer, we are always looking for volunteers, health officers, maintenance, kitchen, and camp pastors. Come join camp and be a part of all the fun. And thank you for your support.
You are the way, you are the truth, you are the life. Show us your way. Jesus the way.
Greetings to you, my dear siblings in Mennonite Church, Manitoba. Grace and peace to you in Jesus Christ. 2025 was a good year for Mennonite Church Canada. In July, we held the Gathering 2025 in Kitchener-Waterloo, We brought together over 400 people. That's just the adults. Over 100 youth came as well into Kitchener-Waterloo to discern the work of the church. Coming out of Gathering 2025, we brought back to Winnipeg 619 pages of handwritten notes, which I read, and 2 students keyed into a document for us. We produced a summary. Out of that summary, we sent it out to everyone who attended. We then discerned it together to search for initiatives that would come out. Again, we sent that out with a survey, and it all came back. And now we have key initiatives that we've come forward with that we're taking into the church. So these 4 key initiatives are centering on Jesus through theological renewal, becoming a vibrant intercultural church, discovering, calling, and equipping leaders for the church, and the final one is embodying peace as a witness and a bridge. Out of those key initiatives, young adult ministry was the highest priority for many of the people who responded to our survey. And it's time to capitalize on the momentum we've been seeing over the last several years. So Sandy Plett and Mackenzie Nicole of Mennonite Church Canada staff have begun working on building a local, regional, and national strategic plan in partnership with young adults from across the country. Peace Church Committee. The Canadian government, through the Canadian Armed Forces, is developing a plan for a 300-member civil defense force, modeled after the Scandinavian total defense systems. In response, there is interest in forming a nationwide coordinating group that would deepen our peace theology and witness through teaching and practice at the congregational level. Internships. Mennonite Church Canada has offered limited internships for youth and young adults for several years, and there's an opportunity now to strengthen and expand this program. Staff have begun developing an enhanced internship strategy in the areas of international witness, Indigenous relations, and climate action, starting actually with the congregational level internship pilot currently underway among several Vancouver churches. Diaspora Church and underrepresented leader training. In response to key initiative number 2, which calls Mennonite Church Canada to become a vibrant intercultural church, we're putting energy and resources into meaningful leadership development for members of diaspora churches and underrepresented populations. The Intercultural Church Steering Committee played a key role in developing the theme for Gathering 2025, Each Has a Gift, from 1 Peter 4, verse 10. And it will now reconvene to re-engage its mandate to imagine how we can build intercultural belonging and gifts sharing at all levels of governance, programming, and staffing. Truth and Reconciliation Commission. The TRC call to action number 60 urges faith communities to collaborate with Indigenous spiritual leaders, survivors, and religious institutions. There's now a capacity in our system to develop and teach curricula for clergy that respect Indigenous spirituality, address the history of impacts of residential schools, and prevent spiritual violence. Interest in a nationwide youth ministry strategy has been steadily increasing for years, further reinforced by the outcomes of last summer's youth gathering at Conrad Grebel University College. Each regional church has been invited to identify a staff member or volunteer to contribute to the work of creating a youth ministry strategy, which will engage four levels: the household, the congregation, the regional church, and nationwide. The Executive Ministers Group and church leadership ministers affirm that new churches and renewing existing congregations are essential to long-term stability of Mennonite Church Canada. A working group has been established to provide key leadership for carrying this forward. And finally, Together in Worship is a volunteer-led ministry tied to Mennonite Church Canada that creates and curates free online Anabaptist resources to support communal Christian worship, and they can be found at commonword.ca. Together in Worship has offered to expand worship resources aligned with our 4 key initiatives, with particular emphasis on being Jesus-centered and intercultural themes. These are exciting times for the nationwide church, and we are so thankful that MCM is at the heart of it.